So, there's been some drama in my family because of my husband's mom. Let's call her Olivia. My husband, Adam, has always been her favorite, even though he has an older sister. Olivia is pretty much obsessed with herself. Like, imagine someone who wants presents on other people's birthdays because she thinks they should thank her for existing. Yeah, that's her. Adam told me that whenever he did something cool or good, Olivia would somehow make it all about her. When Adam and I started dating, Olivia acted all sweet. But as things got more serious between us, she started acting weirder and weirder. Things really hit the fan when Adam and I decided to get married. Olivia tried to butt in and control our wedding plans, which was super stressful. But Adam and I were like, no way, we're paying for this ourselves, so no one can tell us what to do. That way, when Olivia tried to change things like where we were getting married or how the wedding should look, we could just say no. So, after my husband's mom tried to meddle in our wedding plans, I stood my ground. I was like, thanks but no thanks to her ideas. She wasn't happy and complained to my husband Adam. Adam came to me hoping we could find a middle ground, but I was pretty clear that what we decided was not up for debate. Now, about our wedding vibe, I wanted it to be chill, fun, and not tied down to any religious stuff. I also wanted our bridal party to have this cool mismatched look, but still stick to a color theme I liked. The only thing I asked from Olivia and my bridesmaids was to pick a dress in those colors, just show me before buying, so I could keep track of the overall look. My mom and the bridesmaids were great about it. They showed me their pics, and I was cool with all of them. But Olivia? Nope. I kept asking her for months to show me what she'd picked, and she always had some excuse. Then on my wedding day, she shows up wearing an off-white dress, which is a huge no-no. It was this medium-length dress with a see-through layer and a short jacket, looking way too close to a bridal outfit. She had this smug look when she saw my reaction, clearly pleased with herself. It hit me right then. She was going to be a major headache forever. I couldn't hold back the tears, and Adam stepped in. He was like, Mom, you need to change, or you can't stay. It was a mess, but he had my back. My father-in-law didn't want to deal with the hassle of driving Olivia back home to change her dress. He got into it with Adam, arguing about keeping peace in the family. So, to avoid a bigger drama, we let Olivia stay at our wedding in her totally inappropriate dress. It was super awkward. Guests couldn't help but notice, and were pretty surprised by her choice. I decided to just ignore her the whole time and didn't speak to her at all. Adam saw how upset I was and tried to make me feel better, saying stuff like, no matter what, you're the bride today. But honestly, it felt like he didn't get how wrong it was for his mom to do that. Wearing a white dress to someone else's wedding is a big no-no, especially as the mom of the groom. I chose to forgive her, even though she never said sorry for it. And if you thought that was the end of Olivia's antics, think again. When Adam and I were trying to start a family, it was a really tough period for us. I had a miscarriage, which was heartbreaking, and when I got pregnant again, I was super nervous. Adam was amazing, though. He was excited about being a dad and was really supportive. He came with me to all my doctor visits, we read parenting books together, and he even helped set up a cute nursery for our baby. So, 2 months later, Adam and I felt it was finally time to share our big news. I was pregnant. We wanted to wait until we were past the scary first trimester before telling everyone. We decided to host a lunch for our parents, close family, and friends, setting it up like it was just a regular get-together. But when they saw my baby bump, their faces lit up with joy and surprise. My mom started tearing up the moment she realized I was pregnant. She was super understanding about why we kept it under wraps for a bit and was just so happy about becoming a grandma. She got why we waited and was all about the excitement of the new addition to the family. But then there was Olivia, Adam's mom. Her reaction was, let's just say, not what we hoped for. Instead of being happy, she got mad, really mad. She felt like we had left her out on purpose and pointed her finger mainly at me, saying I was the one who didn't want her to know. I tried explaining why we waited to tell everyone, but she wasn't having any of it. She stayed mad the whole evening, putting a damper on what was supposed to be a happy announcement. She didn't talk to me at all and was pretty rude to my mom too, who has always been nice to her. It was a mess, turning what should have been a happy family moment into a pretty tense one. Throughout the family gathering, Olivia pretty much ignored everyone, choosing instead to focus on her phone. It was super obvious she was still mad about not knowing about my pregnancy earlier. She made it a point to tell everyone how left out she felt, saying she missed out on being part of the grandchild's life before they were even born. Adam and his brother noticed how upset Olivia was getting. The vibe was getting more and more tense, and I just had to take a break. I stepped outside for a bit to cool down. My mom saw how upset I was and came out to comfort me. After a little while, I felt okay enough to join everyone again. As the evening was wrapping up, Olivia made sure to say goodbye to me very pointedly, but honestly, we hardly spoke the whole day besides a quick hello and goodbye. Then, as Adam was walking her to the car, they started arguing. I could hear them even from inside the house. Olivia used this moment to double down on her complaints about me, making an already tense situation even worse. Luckily, all the other guests had gone home by then, so it was just us and our immediate families dealing with the drama. Olivia was really heated, telling Adam it was unbelievable how I could keep such a big secret from her, implying I didn't care about family at all. Adam tried to stay cool and explained that both of us wanted to be sure everything was okay with the pregnancy before spreading the news, but Olivia wasn't having it. She started raising her voice, insisting she should have been the first to know about her grandchild because she's the mom. She argued that Adam should have trusted her enough to tell her right away, and then she went further, blaming me for everything, saying Adam was just following my lead and accused him of not standing up for himself. Adam was clearly embarrassed and hurt by his mom's harsh words. I was too, to the point of tears. I almost stepped in, but my mom advised me against it, knowing it would just escalate things with Olivia looking for a fight. So, I stayed silent, not wanting to give Olivia the satisfaction of dragging me into a shouting match. Olivia continued, telling Adam he was being blind to the truth and accusing him of letting me control everything. She believed that as his mother, she deserved to be the first to know about her grandchild. The whole situation was just filled with tension and hurtful accusations, making an already sensitive moment even more difficult. After the heated argument, Adam's dad stepped in, trying to cool things down, and eventually drove Olivia away. Sadly, this was far from a one-time incident. Olivia has a history of overreacting and feeling entitled. Here are a few examples that really got to me. She tried to get our baby to call her mama instead of grandma, which drove me up the wall. Whenever she'd babysit, she'd make a huge deal about it to everyone, acting as if we were totally dependent on her help. After I had some health issues post-pregnancy, she'd criticize me, saying I wasn't being a good enough mom and needed to get over my health problems. Because of all this and more, my relationship with Olivia has always been rocky. I've been putting up with her mainly for Adam's sake. Recently, Olivia and Adam's dad moved to a new place. They've been wanting us to come over to see it, but we've been swamped. Adam suggested I go visit them with our child, thinking it might ease some tension and get Olivia off his back about visiting. I wasn't keen on the idea, especially going alone, but Adam really wanted me to try for the sake of peace. So, I agreed to go on the weekend. Our daughter, Debbie, had a friend's birthday party to go to that same weekend. I planned to drop her off at the party and arranged for my mom to pick her up afterwards so I could visit Olivia and Adam's dad without any distractions. On that bright Friday afternoon, excited to give Debbie some quality time with her grandparents, I arrived at my in-laws' new house. It was impressive, big, blending modern and classic styles, surrounded by a beautifully landscaped yard full of vibrant plants and fragrant flowers. When Olivia opened the door, expecting Adam, her initial excitement faded into confusion upon seeing me alone. She immediately questioned where Adam and Debbie were, explaining that Adam was tied up and Debbie was at a friend's birthday party didn't sit well with her. She expressed her disappointment, accusing us of being selfish for not making time for her. Attempting to steer away from the tension, I complimented their lovely new home and expressed my eagerness to see the inside. Despite her disappointment, Olivia let me in. The house was as impressive inside as out, with high ceilings and elegant decor. Amy, my sister-in-law, and her son Sam were also there. Amy, much like her mother, has always kept her distance from me, making it hard to tell if her standoffishness was personal or just to stay in Olivia's good graces. She barely interacted with me. Olivia mentioned that my father-in-law was out, hence her decision to invite Amy and Sam for some family time. Despite the initial awkwardness and the ongoing challenges with Olivia, I was there, hoping to bridge some gaps and show my support for the family. As I engaged in small talk with Sam about his school experiences, Olivia abruptly changed the subject to her recent shopping spree. She expressed a desire for my input on her new wardrobe, which was unexpected considering our usually strained relationship. I managed to keep my surprise in check and warmly offered my assistance, seeing it as a chance to potentially mend fences over something as innocuous as clothing choices. Olivia appeared genuinely happy with my willingness to help and eagerly led me to her walk-in closet, her so-called pride and joy. The closet was an extravagant space filled with clothing, shoes, and accessories. Despite the oddity of the situation, given our past conflicts, I couldn't help but admire her collection. As she showcased various items, seeking my advice on the colors, styles, and accessories, I found myself getting caught up in the moment, offering sincere suggestions. Then, Olivia stepped away for a moment, inviting me to browse through her wardrobe. I was examining the outfits when suddenly I heard the sound of running feet and mischievous laughter behind me, interrupting the brief peace. Locked in the closet, plunged into sudden darkness, my old fears rushed back. The unexpected shove from Sam, my sister-in-law's son, sent me tumbling into a heap among clothes and accessories, the sharp pain in my head and teeth a jarring testament to the harsh landing. Confusion reigned before panic took over, realizing Sam had flipped the outside light switch, leaving me trapped and alone in the dark. I pounded on the door, shouting for Olivia or Amy, hoping for a quick rescue, but there was no response, leaving me to wonder if my calls were unheard or simply ignored. Frantically, I pulled out my phone, its flashlight cutting through the darkness. The sight of my phone's battery icon dwindling sent a fresh wave of anxiety through me, the fear of being left in darkness without even the cold comfort of my phone's light. This fear wasn't new, it traced back to a childhood incident where a game of hide-and-seek turned into a nightmare. I had accidentally locked myself in my grandmother's closet. With my grandmother's hard of hearing, it took her an hour to find me. That hour, filled with crying and screaming, left a deep-seated fear of the dark that hadn't faded with time. Now, in the closet, those old fears weren't just shadows, they felt as real and as terrifying as they did back then. The thought of being left in this dark, enclosed space, potentially until my phone gave out, was overwhelming. I continued to call out, hoping someone would hear me and open the door, ending this unexpected and frightful ordeal. My attempts to contact Olivia and Amy for help proved fruitless, deepening the sense of isolation as their laughter echoed from downstairs, a stark contrast to my growing panic. In desperation, I dialed Adam's number, hoping for his support in this distressing moment. When Adam picked up, I quickly spilled out the situation, my voice laced with urgent fear. I hoped he'd understand the gravity of my predicament, especially given my deep-seated fear of dark, confined spaces. To my dismay, Adam's response was far from the understanding or concern I had hoped for. His tone was dismissive, suggesting I was overreacting to what he perceived as a minor inconvenience rather than a distressing ordeal. His suggestion to simply call his mother or sister, who had been unresponsive to my attempts, felt like a dismissal of my fear and the immediacy of my situation. The lack of empathy from Adam in that moment added a layer of frustration and helplessness to the already tense and frightening experience, highlighting the disconnect and understanding the seriousness of the fear gripping me, trapped in the dark. Hoping for a lifeline, I quickly explained to my father-in-law the situation, that I was locked in a closet, in the dark, and on the verge of a full-blown panic attack due to my fear. I mentioned that Sam, his grandson, was the one who locked me in, and that my attempts to reach Olivia and Amy for help had been ignored. I emphasized my dwindling phone battery, the darkness enveloping me, and my fear, hoping to convey the urgency of my situation. My father-in-law, understanding the gravity of the situation from my voice and the circumstances, promised to come to my rescue. He assured me he would leave his friends immediately and head over to help me out of the closet. His response provided a glimmer of hope in an otherwise dark and distressing situation. Knowing that help was on the way, eased the panic slightly, allowing me to focus on conserving my phone's battery by turning off the flashlight and waiting in the dark, relying on the promise of rescue. This experience highlighted the importance of understanding and empathy in moments of fear and the relief that comes from knowing someone is coming to your aid. Finally freed from the dark confines of the closet, the relief I felt was immense as I stepped into the light, my eyes adjusting to the brightness. My father-in-law's arrival had been timely, his voice a beacon of hope amidst the fear and anxiety that had overwhelmed me. Standing before me were my sister-in-law and father-in-law, their expressions a mix of concern and frustration, a stark contrast to the indifference I had faced from within the closet. As my father-in-law questioned Olivia about the bizarre situation, she attempted to shrug off any responsibility or knowledge of how I ended up locked away. I took that moment to explain everything, detailing Sam's actions and my subsequent pleas for help that went unheard or were blatantly ignored. However, my recounting of the events was met with disbelief from Olivia and my sister-in-law. They flatly denied the possibility of Sam engaging in such behavior, choosing instead to question my narrative. This dismissal of my experience, despite the evident distress it caused me, underscored the deep-seated issues within the family dynamics where my words and experiences could be so readily invalidated. The incident not only highlighted the physical ordeal of being trapped, but also the emotional isolation of not being believed, amplifying the sense of being an outsider within my own family. The lack of empathy and support from those who were supposed to be my closest allies left a lasting impression, underscoring the ongoing challenges of navigating my relationship with my in-laws. Feeling utterly frustrated and angry about the whole ordeal, I couldn't understand why no one had come to check on me despite the noise I was making. Their excuse was that they were all in the backyard, too engrossed in the new rose garden to notice anything amiss. This explanation did little to calm my frustration, especially when I saw Sam, the instigator of my predicament, trying to blend into the background. When I confronted Sam about his actions, my sister-in-law quickly came to his defense, insisting that such behavior was out of character for her son and suggesting instead that I might have accidentally locked myself in, a claim that felt like a slap in the face considering the circumstances, especially since it failed to explain how the light had been turned off from the outside. My father-in-law's attempts to mediate did little to assuage my feelings of betrayal and isolation. It was clear that Olivia and Amy would always cover for each other, leaving me to grapple with the realization that seeking justice or even an acknowledgement of the truth within this family dynamic would be futile. Feeling defeated and emotionally drained, I made the decision to leave. I called my mother, apologizing for the sudden change in plans regarding Debbie's pickup and explaining that she might need to stay over with her grandparents. My voice trembled as I spoke, a clear sign of the shock and turmoil I was feeling, but I couldn't muster the energy to dive into the details over the phone. My mother sensed something was amiss, but I left the conversation there, needing time to process the day's events and the stark reminder of the complexities and challenges of navigating my relationship with my in-laws. I reached home and waited for my husband to return so I could confront him about what his family had done to me. However, to my disbelief when I recounted the incident to him during dinner, he berated me for overreacting and started accusing me of being childish. He insisted that this was a ridiculous accusation to make about his family. He refused to believe that his nephew could have locked me inside the closet, and his mother and sister had knowingly refused to help me. He continued to justify his action on why he couldn't come to help me, saying that he wasn't at my beck and call, so I needed to be more understanding with everyone. Gaslighting me, I started to doubt myself in an attempt to avoid further conflict. To argue with him any further, I retreated to bed, enveloped by a profound loneliness, struggling to understand what had happened. The weight of the incident pressed heavily on my chest and the feeling of being dismissed and misunderstood by my husband lingered. I knew that what had happened to me wasn't merely a prank. It was intentional, calculated, and deeply humiliating, since everyone pretty much had an idea that I was afraid of the dark. The following day, while I was at home grappling with the emotional aftermath of the previous day's ordeal, I received a TikTok link from my cousin. She asked if the video featured me opening the link. I was quickly horrified to see that my nephew Jay had recorded the entire incident and shamelessly posted it for his followers on TikTok. He was clearly telling his followers how he wanted to prank me, and locking me inside the dark closet was the perfect plan. He hid the camera in the corner and then ran to push me inside. My blood boiled in anger. Seeing his laughter infuriated, I shared the video in our family chat, demanding that everyone now owe me an apology since I had proof. I also wrote to sister-in-law that she needed to get Sam to delete the videos immediately, instead of acknowledging the severity of the situation. Mother-in-law brushed it off and instead told me that this was really funny to watch. She said that she had not seen anything more hilarious than this and claimed that boys will be boys. Sister-in-law joined in with her and insisted that I shouldn't be bothered by the video and just let this go, as Jay could play the harmless prank on me anyway. I warned them that if Sam didn't remove this video, I would be going the legal way. Mother-in-law replied back, saying that I was just being too much right now and that I needed to chill out and learn to be a part of the family. Fed up with our lack of empathy, I decided to take matters into my own hands and teach them all a lesson. I called the cops immediately and provided them with the evidence of the incident. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, they agreed to give sister-in-law a visit to question her about why her 11-year-old child had a TikTok account and was posting such prank videos by pushing people into closets. Later, sister-in-law called me angrily, asking if I seriously had the audacity to file a complaint against her. I told her that I had and that I was willing to take this to court. She started yelling at me some more, but I quickly told her that I was recording the conversation and would be happy to give it to my lawyer. She quickly shut up after that. So am I the jerk for teaching my husband's family a lesson for locking me inside the closet for over an hour? Now for the update, but before that, please subscribe to my channel, it really helps me make better content. Now for the updates. Update 1. In just a few hours, I have received thousands of comments and I'm glad to see that a majority of you understand why I decided to involve the police. I have been receiving multiple calls from my in-laws who are asking me to withdraw my statement to the police. No official case has been filed yet as my nephew was still a child, so the police are investigating to assess and determine the appropriate course of action. My husband had no idea about this erupted when he came back from work. He had tried calling me during the day, but I had been busy with the police. But when he was back, I knew we were going to have this conversation. Adam is convinced that what I have done has totally destroyed the family and is saying that I shouldn't be so childish as to overreact over such harmless things. He continues to believe that Sam is just a child, hence he shouldn't be punished for this. I have talked with my parents and my sister about this. My family knows about my phobia for dark spaces, hence they are shocked that no one came to rescue me and, more importantly, that my husband isn't advocating for me. My dad had a strong word with my husband, telling him that if I had called him for help while stuck in the dark closet, then it should have been his responsibility to either come to help me or immediately call his parents to get me out. The fact that he didn't do either of these things doesn't sit right with me or my family. Thanks to everyone's comments, I can see that my husband and his family's dismissive attitude has been going on for a long time and I have been blind to it. I will continue to update you when there is any further development. Update 2. It's been a week since my last update and there has been a major development. You see, sister-in-law's husband Vic, who was out of town, recently returned and found out about what had happened between me and Sam. He completely lost it and asked my nephew to immediately take down the video and apologize to me personally. When sister-in-law tried to defend her son's actions, Vic threatened to kick him out if he ever disrespected others like that. This was all told to me by Vic when he visited me. I agreed to meet up in the hope so I could get to the bottom of this incident. Vic came to our place with Sam, who looked sad, as if he had probably been scolded the entire time. Vic looked at him sternly as Sam immediately started to apologize to me as soon as we sat down to talk. He then started telling me that even though he did push me into the closet, it wasn't entirely his fault. I looked at him curiously, and so did Vic. Sam went on to reveal that he would talk to mother-in-law about his TikTok account as well as forward her several prank videos which his friends would play on other people. Once she started to tell him how it would be a good idea to try it on someone in real life, Sam told her that he didn't think it was a good idea to try it on his family members. But mother-in-law urged him, saying that because I wasn't technically his family since I was just married to my husband, then that meant he could definitely try out those pranks on me and not feel guilty about it. I was shocked to hear this. Vic asked Sam if he was lying and tried to dodge responsibility as this was a huge accusation to make. But Sam started weeping, telling us that we were welcome to check his phone where he and mother-in-law did indeed have a conversation regarding this. He showed us those chats and I was absolutely horrified and disgusted. So someone her age to incite a child to engage in such actions simply because she disliked me was truly appalling. Having heard enough, I promptly saved those screenshots to my phone and emphatically advised Sam against following her suggestions, emphasizing that it was the wrong course of action. Sam nodded solemnly. Vic, equally taken aback, expressed his dismay, stating how sickening it was, making him reconsider allowing his child to be around. My mother-in-law? Understandably, I nodded as he continued, expressing regret for not being present to prevent Sam's actions that day. He urged me to not go through with the case and retract my statement with the police. Since Sam had spoken the truth, Vic was clearly afraid of the impact this would have on his child's life. I assured them that I would discuss the matter with my lawyer and the police on the condition that Sam never uploaded the video again or retain the copy of it. Sam assured me that he had indeed deleted the video and that he had no copy of it remaining since his conversation with Vic and Sam. I have started questioning my entire relationship with mother-in-law. It's pretty clear now that she was behind the attack and encouraged the child to do her dirty deeds so that she could get away with it. I can't allow myself to be around her ever again as I don't know what else she might do to me if she already dislikes me this much. Update 3. Hello guys, it's been 4 months since my last update and I have moved out of my husband's place and I am currently staying with my parents as updated. Previously, my evil mother-in-law was behind everything. When I confronted her about it, she refused to accept her mistakes even after I showed her the screenshots. She tried to accuse my nephew, saying that he must have manipulated them and photoshopped it. Her lies quickly fell apart once I threatened that I would pursue this legally if she didn't admit her mistakes. Mother-in-law then begrudgingly admitted that she had pre-planned this with my nephew, and when she saw that I had come alone to visit her, she thought this would be the perfect time to play the prank on me. She continued to say our sister-in-law was in on it too and that they had enjoyed hearing my scream for help. She begged me to not pursue this further, saying that she wouldn't ever do this to me again. Fortunately for me, I had recorded our entire conversation, so I simply ended the call with her and forwarded the voice recording to our group chat so that everyone could hear what mother-in-law had admitted. I sent a text to sister-in-law saying that I had never expected her to go so low and that I hoped her son would turn out to be a better human being than her. As for my husband, our relationship just became worse and worse every day, even with the screenshots and voice recording of his own mother admitting her mistake. My husband never once apologized to me for what his family had put me through. I think seeing my family rallying behind me really made me understand that this was not me overreacting and that what had happened to me was in fact a big deal. Although I did decide to not take any legal action, I didn't want to forgive and forget what the family had done to me. There was no going back after this, and with my husband continuing to support them, there was nothing left for me to fight for. I tried to save my marriage, but when your own partner supports his mother's evil actions, regardless of your feelings, then you start to slowly realize that you deserve better than this. I moved out so that we could eventually start our divorce proceedings. He wasn't even remotely surprised about this and didn't fight me. When I announced to him that I wanted a divorce, I won't lie about this as it has been extremely hard to go through this. I genuinely loved my husband and thought I would grow old with him, but these last few months have been eye-opening and I deserve to put myself first. I'm really glad that everyone in the comments section and my family made me see the truth about my husband and his family.